Hi everyone. So today we're going to look at an example of how to do factoring by grouping. So looking at this first trinomial that we're going to do here, we first need to look at step one. I put the process here along the side so you can follow along as we're doing each step. So our first step is to factor out the GCF if there is one. A lot of times there isn't, but you never know. So when I look at the 6, the -2, and the -20, is there something we can factor out that all three are divisible by? And that would be 2. Our GCF is 2. So therefore, I'm going to divide each of these by 2 to see what's remaining in the parentheses. I'm not going to put the 1. You can. 2 divided by 2 is 1. There is an invisible 1 there. -20 divided by 2 is -10. Wonderful. So now when we're creating our eye chart, which we are in step 3 now, step 2, we need to identify our A, B, and C values. So I'm going to do that over here to the right. The A value is the value in front of the x squared, which is 3. The B value is in front of the x, which is -1. And the C value is the constant, which is -10. Now keep in mind, you have to factor out the GCF first to get the A, the B, and the C. Okay? The 2 in the front is not included in the A, B, or C. So now let's make our eye chart. Okay, I want to make it over here. The top of the eye chart is the multiplication of your A and your C values. So for us, we're taking 3 and multiplying it by -10 to get -30. And then the bottom of your eye chart is your B value, which in this case is -1. So our goal here is that we're trying to find out numbers that multiply to give you -30, but add up to give you -1. So in the eye chart is where we're going to list some of those things. So 30, I always start with 1. 1 times -30, or -1 times +30. Now what else multiplies to give us 30? 2 times -15, or -2 times +15. One of them has to be negative, right, to multiply to get a -30. And lastly, -6 times 5, or +6 and -5. And then we have to look at each of these and determine which one adds up to -1. And that would be -6 and +5. The one below it, 6 and -5, add up to +1, and we were looking to add up to a -1. So far, if you're looking at our steps, what we've done so far is we have done this, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6. Wow, we are at step 7 now, rewriting the middle term. So what do we do with the 2 in the front, the GCF that we had factored out? It's going to stay where it's at. Okay, and I'm going to change these parentheses to brackets, and you'll see why in a moment. Okay, the 3x squared stays the same. Okay, but this -1x here is going to split into 2 terms, and where do I get them from? These two here at the bottom, the -6 and the 5. So I'm going to split it into -6x and a positive or plus 5x, and then bring down the -10. So I got these 2 x's in the middle from the 2 terms that we found in our eye chart. I just put x's with them. And notice that when you add them together, they do add up to the middle term, -1, x. All right, we are on step 8 now. Group the first 2 terms and the second 2 terms. So we're grouping these 2, and then grouping these 2, including that plus in front, because sometimes we will have a minus there that we'll need to factor out. And we need to find the GCF of each group individually. So that 2 that's in the front just stays like it has been, okay? Keep that in mind. So what is the GCF of our first group? 3 and 6 are both divisible by 3, and they both have x's. So we're going to factor out an x. Our GCF is 3x. So to find what remains, remember you divide each of the terms by the GCF. 3x squared divided by 3x is 1x, or just x. -6x divided by 3x is -2. Because x divided by x is 1, those x's go away. Now, what is the GCF of our second set of parentheses? All right, they're both divisible by 5, so positive 5. And they don't both have x's, so x is not part of our GCF, just 5. So now let's divide them both by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1, 1x. Negative 10 divided by 5 is negative 2. Now we know we're doing this correct because the two parentheses are the same. That is very important to note, okay? Once again, I bring down the 2 that's in the front. We're almost at the end now. So what we're doing here next really is we have one term and we have a second term with a plus in the middle. They both have one thing in common, the x minus 2. So we're going to write that out here. They both have x minus 2 in common, so we factor that to the front. So usually what I do is I mark them out once I have moved that x minus 2 to the front. And then I see what's remaining, the 3x and the plus 5. And whatever's remaining has its own set of parentheses as well. So this is the final factored form. That 2 from the beginning, you'll notice that we factored out that GCF stayed throughout the entire problem. Okay, we had to find GCFs quite a lot in this particular example. So remember, guys, just follow the steps. And also an important step is that you can multiply these all back together to see if you got the original problem, and that's a good way to check your work. Okay, using the box method or double distribution. If you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out to me or your teacher. Have a great day, guys.